Riding a bicycle on the Going to the Sun Road is a bucket list item for many people around the world. If you're renting a bicycle, your adventure will typically start here, in Apgar Village at the southern end of Lake McDonald, a few miles from the West Glacier entrance. Logan Pass is just 30 miles and 3,500 feet of climbing away. Along the route, you'll see dense forest, spectacular mountain views, water gushing off the mountains as winter snow and glaciers melt, tunnels carved through rock, and wildlife of all sizes. This may be the best ride of your life. Make sure you're prepared so it's safe and enjoyable. I'm going to cover a few important topics that every rider should be aware of before making the climb up the Going to the Sun Road. We'll also explore a few other cycling options in the West Glacier region that won't take all day and still offer incredible experiences. Not every rider on the Going to the Sun Road is a cyclist. Many just want the experience of seeing the more distant regions of the park during May and June. Vehicle traffic is blocked beyond the Lake McDonald Lodge in the fall, winter, and early spring. Later in spring, vehicles are allowed to Avalanche Lake Campground, but parking becomes limited when the campground is taking reservations. You may find yourself starting your ride in West Glacier, Apgar Village, Lake McDonald Lodge, or a pullout along the Going to the Sun Road due to parking availability. If this happens, you'll potentially ride alongside motor vehicles for miles until you get to the hikers and bikers only section of the roadway. The speed limit varies from 15 to 45 miles per hour depending on the location. Unless you're used to riding in traffic and can maintain a good speed, this will probably be a stressful experience. There isn't a shoulder along the road, and you oftentimes have just a few inches over the white line if you're keeping to the right. You'll have a lot of cars passing you, but it's not easy to do so because there are so many turns and the viewing distance to safely pass in the opposing lane of traffic is often limited. You'll end up having a line of cars behind you that all try to overtake you at once when the opportunity becomes available. The best approach to this is to put your most experienced rider in the rear of the group and ride in a single file line. Be sure to have a red light clearly visible to approaching drivers. Use every pull-out and allow drivers to pass until traffic has cleared. You may be tempted to take pictures while riding, but this section of the road requires your full attention and you'll have plenty of opportunities for pictures farther on without the vehicle traffic. Bike shuttles are available in the park and will let you bypass the shared motor vehicle portion of the roadway. If you're renting a bike, it should come with a safety inspection, but you should do your own as well. Test the brakes on flat ground. Run through all of the gears and make sure shifting is operating correctly. Adjust your seat for your height. Secure your gear on racks or cages so that it won't fall off. If you're renting an electric bike, be sure to understand how it operates before you get on the road. If you're using your own bike, make sure it's in good operating condition. This may mean a tune-up at your local bike shop. You don't want to get 20 miles into a 40 or 60 mile ride just to have something break. There are plenty of people who can help you if you do break down, but you should have your own replacement and repair equipment that they can help you with. Look for a yellow vest or a volunteer badge if you need assistance. They're there to help riders. Having spoken to quite a few, it seems that e-bikes are responsible for about 5 times as many injuries and crashes as human-powered bikes in the park, so keep that in mind when making the decision and throughout your ride. It's easy to get distracted and lose your balance or not pay close attention to your speed when you're not doing all of the work yourself. Also, be mindful of your speed and braking habits while going down extended declines. You should alternate your braking between front and rear and give them time to cool down. Overheated brakes will increase stopping distance and time. In low traction situations, such as with rocks and gravel on the road, apply the rear brake first for more control. There is a good chance you'll see a bear on your ride. I saw my first grizzly bear in the park on May 16th this year and May 5th in 2021. I've heard accounts of them standing in the middle of the roadway, up on the mountain, and reaching a paw out to you as you pass, but that may just be a park legend. You'll want to be prepared with a can of bear spray easily accessible for each member of your party. You may be split up for a moment, or just not have enough time to react with only one can of spray in your group. The best approach is to give bears plenty of room and turn around if needed, and use the road to your advantage to retreat to a safe distance. This is one thing I always keep in mind while I'm pedaling up the hill. If a bear suddenly appears in front of me, I can simply turn around and retreat at 20 miles per hour or faster. Bears don't hunt humans, but they can certainly attack if they feel threatened or you get too close. There are other large animals in the park, and it's best to give them plenty of space as well for your own safety and to follow park rules about keeping wildlife wild. Do not feed the wildlife. The Going to the Sun Road is closed for good reason in the spring. The road simply isn't safe to drive on yet for motorists. There are active avalanche conditions, rock slides, removed guardrails that won't be replaced until the snow and debris have been cleared, as well as service crew equipment and supplies. You'll need to pay close attention to the roadway. Just because it's paved, that doesn't mean you'll have a predictable ride. There are sharp rocks everywhere, and they can easily puncture tires. I always carry a spare tube, air pump, and repair kit. Last year I helped change a tube for a couple that was 18 miles from their car as the sun was going down. Try to avoid this. Sometimes it's best to just get off your bike and walk through the obstacles. If you're afraid of heights, stay on the high side of the road toward the mountain and avoid the cliff edge. There are many locations without guardrails, and there's nothing stopping you from falling hundreds of feet in some locations. Check the weather before you start. It may feel warm and sunny in the valley at 3,200 feet elevation, but Logan Pass at 6,646 feet elevation may be 15 to 20 degrees cooler Fahrenheit and much windier. I've already experienced wind conditions that required me to pedal downhill or else I'd come to a stop. Snow and rain can also happen without much warning, and there are few places to shelter along the route. It's best to dress in layers and have a waterproof shell. I almost always take a pair of gloves for the descent because it's about 10 miles and roughly 30 minutes of downhill riding before you return to the valley. You'll be warm on the way up, but then quickly cold on the way down. Pack light enough that you don't sweat much on the way up, and heavy enough that you don't freeze on the way down. You will experience a lot of water on the roadway in June from the melting snow, which will almost certainly soak your shoes. If you don't have waterproof shoes, bring a second pair of socks and stop at the loop on the way down the mountain to adjust your clothing needs. Finally, make sure you're in good physical health before attempting this ride. The park is very remote, and the nearest hospital may be hours away depending on your condition and location. Medical evacuations happen by helicopter with frequency, but with some prior planning and caution, you can have a safe and enjoyable trip avoiding these common hazards. Before you dive in, let's see what else is available. If you only have half a day and are looking for a shorter adventure, or perhaps decided to wait and drive the road in a car when it fully opens instead, you can still explore West Glacier by bicycle. Before entering the park, Belton Bridge in West Glacier is a great place to hang out and watch rafters float by. When the water conditions are just right, you'll even see people safely jump from the bridge into the Middle Fork Flathead River below. From the bridge, the South Boundary Trail will take you into the park headquarters and ranger offices area. From here, there is a bike path to Apgar. Once arriving in Apgar, to the east is the Going to the Sun Road, and to the west is Camas Road. Camas Road takes you to Fish Creek Trail and campground area, as well as the inner North Fork Road. If you continue on Camas Road, you'll arrive at the North Fork Bridge with options of taking North Fork Road to either Pole Bridge or Columbia Falls. From back at Apgar, if you go east on the Going to the Sun Road, you can take the North Lake McDonald Road to the northwest side of Lake McDonald. This area was previously burned by a forest fire, and it offers a very unique experience. There is a ranger station and hiking trail at the end of the road. This is truly a ride you'll never forget.